Welcome to West USA Weekly, the podcast, your go-to source for everything real estate in Phoenix, Arizona. We're breaking down market trends, local insights, and the moves that matter most to Valley agents. Interviews, tips, and the latest from one of Arizona's top brokerages, all in one place. Let's dive in.
Good morning, West USA. Welcome to another edition of our Monday morning podcast. I was watching the news last night. So if you got any friends that live in the northeastern part of the United States and they make fun of you about living in the heat during the summertime, you just remind them of right now, of this moment in time.
Absolutely.
So everybody should be marketing to people in the New England states right now.
While we're wearing our short sleeve shirts, you know, baking out in the sun.
All right. Well, we appreciate everybody joining us today. A little sneak peek at what's going on. Of course, we got Todd Menard here to look at the numbers. We got Justin Frederick here to give us our mortgage minute, and we're going to share 3 tips to creating legitimacy and credibility with your clients. And then our tax strategist, Cindy Dillard, is going to stop by and talk about taxes and tax strategies. So, as always, if you've got any comments or questions, please feel free to email us at podcast@westusa.com. All right, Nick, let's jump into announcements. It's that time of year, man.
Yeah, it was actually a little bit late this year, so I was excited we got this out. We already had 500 agents take the survey. We appreciate that. The suggestions, the responses, the comments are really appreciated. We really, really look at every single comment response, I promise. And so a little bit of a token to say thank you for your time is possibility, a chance to win a gas card. So $300, $150, or $50, every person who takes the survey and gives us your name, because that's important, we put into the drawing. And again, if your feedback isn't 100% positive, if you've got some constructive criticism for us, put your name in. We don't get frustrated by it. We don't have an ego. We ask you guys to be honest and forthcoming with us. Put your name in so you can get a chance to win the gas card. Yeah.
And if you got any constructive criticism, his last name is spelled W-E-I-T. Well, I stopped by Clint's office and already grabbed the $300 gift card, so we got $150 and $50 still on the table. All right, so I guess we're gonna have to all get our fingerprints
official
again.
Official.
Yeah, so we got a special event. This is going to be for every agent. It's one of those things that we're not paying attention, and then all of a sudden we're going to be like, what? No one told me. Well, we're telling you. So we got a special event to get your fingerprint clearance cards and all that kind of good stuff this Friday from 11:30 to 2:30 at the Goodyear office. As always, all of these events can be found on the dashboard. So just click on the calendar and you can RSVP for them. All right, so back to basics class, a special class going on. This is going to be at the, I went over these. Oh, Goodyear office as well. All right, so
Justin's actually teaching it. He's sitting right down the street from you. Down the table.
You're teaching this one?
Teaching that one. Talking about income.
All right.
Yeah.
So how do I get some?
Just get some income?
Yeah.
You got to do work, Mike. You actually have to work.
All right. Well, that's going to be going on at the Goodyear office February 24th. So make sure you get signed up for that as well. Todd's got a virtual free CE class coming up this Wednesday, 3 hours of disclosure log. And just go to your dashboard, click on the calendar, and get signed up for that. All right. So the ABCs of CRMs, boy, we talk about CRMs all the time. So we got a special class. There's a lot of different strategies to using your CRM. The most important thing is using it. Learning how to use it, at least the basics of it. And so we got a special class coming up Monday today from 11:30 to 1 o'clock here at the North Phoenix office. So you've got time to, when we end at 10, jump in the car and get on up here. All right, we got an upcoming blood drive here at the North Phoenix office going on tomorrow from 9 to 2 p.m. I love that our office is doing this frequently.
Totally. Yeah, we do it every single quarter. Claudia Ewan, our director of coaching, heads this up. It's a really great thing that we're able to do. We appreciate all the agents coming down, everybody taking the time to do.
It's good for your own health as well as it is giving blood to other people. So
yeah. All right, so that's coming up tomorrow. All right, so learning how to, I saw this. I thought this was kind of interesting. We're going to learn how to make keychains.
Yeah, Carrie does a great job with all of her
This is great. This is great.
It's super cool.
It's super cool. It's something really cool just to give your clients when they move in and you hand the keys to them. Put it on one of your own keychains.
Yeah, awesome.
So that is coming up Friday from 4:30 to 5:30 p.m. Refreshments will be provided. What kind of refreshments are those? That's what I'm kind of curious.
Reach out to Cynthia and ask her that question.
All right. That's going to be going on, I believe, at the Mesa office.
Yeah.
Cynthia's doing it. It's good.
All right. I'm going to let you take over this one because you threw this in at me at the last moment.
Yeah, because y'all sold out the baseball game in like 2 weeks. So our first quarter event happening in early March is sold out, and we really appreciate. I mean, it was crazy how fast everybody signed up for it. So we released the tickets for our second quarterly event at Kembra at the JW Marriott a little bit earlier than we thought, and we already almost have 100 people signed up for it. So we are super excited at the engagement we're getting from our agents for the quarterly events leading up to the gala event in November. So if you didn't get a chance to go to the baseball game and you haven't yet signed up for the Cambria event, we want to encourage everyone to go to westusa40.com, westusa40.com, get signed up for the Kembra event, and honestly, sign up for the car, because for whatever reason, not a lot of people have done that, so the chance of winning the car is pretty high right now.
Sweet.
So get registered.
I got the $300 gas card already, so this is going to be perfect.
Mikey's just locking it up.
Odds of winning are based on the number of people that have entered.
For sure.
And it's only our company.
And the Kembra event is a free event. We're offering all of our agents two tickets to that. The gala event is another thing we want you to get signed up for. That one does cost, but that tickets are going fast for the gala as well. So westusa40.com, get signed up for Kembra, get signed up for the car, and sign up for the gala event.
All right, Todd, take it away. What's going on in the market?
Well, I'm excited about following the 40th anniversary. I think that's really cool. See, I got my 40th anniversary pin on right here.
Oh, I didn't get one of those.
Hey, you know, the cool people get one.
Stop stealing stuff.
Yeah, Mike.
Yeah, I wouldn't take off that coat.
No, there you go. All right, everybody, thanks for joining us today. Today we're going over the Greater Phoenix Metro market statistics for the week ending February 23rd. Let's get right into our numbers. 88 days on market this past week, a 5.17 month supply. Absorption rate is at 19.33. The average list price this past week, $783,714. Average sale price this past week, $628,784. Our list price to sale price retention at 97.11. Active inventory rose again. We're at 26,061. Pending is sitting at 4716, and closed units at 3695. New listings taken this past week were 2,209, down just a little bit, but still good. We're still above, the 2,000 mark. 15% the increase, in the days on market. We're sitting now at 92. Days on market for close is at 88. If we take a look at the lower left-hand side, this is, unless we're looking at the monthly report, which this is the weekly report, this is the active inventory currently in the marketplace right now. So if you look at this as of this morning, so if you look at this and you say, what's available in the $600,000 to $800,000 category? Well, there's 3,667 properties. They're averaging 87 days on market, and it represents approximately 12.52% of the entire MLS. And then the last number over there says, the market's, the inventory's growing. So again, inventory growing, there are some secrets as to whether you're a buyer or a listing agent just by that number alone. So this is how you can use this, whether you're working with a buyer or whether you're working with a seller. Taking a look at the entire MLS, 66.74% of the entire MLS is priced under $600,000. 600 to 1 million is at 18.65, and those properties that are over $1 million at 14.61. So the spreadsheet, this is the fun part. This is really when you get to sound like we know what we're talking about, because the reality is we're comparing it to just another time period, whether it was a week over week, month over month, year over year. But it does give us an opportunity to see the changes in the numbers, which gives us clues as far as whether the market, trends that might be happening, what's going on. So new listings, of course, way over on the left-hand side is what we call ROT. That's rules of thumb. If we were in a perfectly balanced market, these are the numbers that you would see. Not the ones necessarily next to coming soon and those are live, but the ones that are next to the headings. So in this case, 2,209 properties were new listings this past week. We had 2,339 the year before. 2 years ago, we were at 1,824. So we're right kind of still significantly higher than we were 2 years ago. Looking at active inventory, sitting at 26,061, comprised of 684 in the coming soon, 19,234 single-family non-distressed. We have 3,071 new home construction properties in the MLS. Remember, don't be misled. That's not the entire new home inventory in the greater Phoenix metro market. That is just those that have are using the MLS as a tool for exposure. Taking a look at the non-distressed, we're sitting at 25,601 of that number. So again, that's 98.2% of the entire MLS. Looking at pending, well, just as we look at new listings as the seller's willingness to enter into the marketplace, obviously sellers believe that the market is good enough for them. Maybe they have to sell, but the point is that they're entering the market. And when listings increase, that means more sellers have confidence in the marketplace. Well, similarly, when we have more pending, that means buyers have confidence in the marketplace. So if we take a look, 2 years ago, we're at 4125, 4283. This year, so far this month, we're at 4,716. Week over week, we're at 4338. So what we're seeing is many more people, many more buyers, and Justin will talk to you about the lending perspective in just a moment. But there's more confidence. The buyers now know that they are in a buyer's market, that they have the ability to negotiate, that the sellers are, if they want their home to sell and there's 6 in the neighborhood and they're a little stale, they're going to have to negotiate a little bit. And so these are the things that we can identify just by looking at the numbers and the trends. Taking a look at closed, a little too early still in the month. Last week of the month, of course, as we all know, that's when everything does close. But if we do take a look, we're about pretty flush with last year as far as the numbers are concerned. So that's a good sign. We're just a little bit behind. But again, these are point-in-time numbers, so next week the numbers will, percentage-wise, will be a little bit different. But what we're looking at right now is there's a very good possibility, just like the 2 prior months, that we're going to finish the month in the green. Which would be a very, very good sign because it just shows that there's more closing growth again, which is what Lawrence Yun said. We should expect somewhere about a 8 to 12% increase in production volume over this particular 2026. Month supply 5.17. There it is, Mike's favorite number. Anything over 5, you're really in a buyer's market, so that's a good sign. I know, I hate saying that too. And if we sit here and we say, okay, well, what's going on in the market? The inventory prices must be going crazy. Not really. Look at that, 400. We're looking at the bottom number in that red box, but 454,990. We're at 457. These numbers. So we've been averaging right about that 450 median sale price for the last 3 years. So through all of this tumultuous changes in the marketplace, whether we were in a seller's market or a buyer's market, the prices aren't taking off. Median price is a really super number to look at when you're trying to determine our prices taking off. Market is sitting at 88 days, so it's a little bit slower than it had been, about 10, 12 days. And everybody says, well, it's not too much. Actually, that's a lot in the marketplace when you're looking overall. 97.8 is the sweet spot for list price to sale price retention. We're at 97.11. We're at 97.06, but we were at 97.6 last year. So the sellers are having, this is indicative of sellers. What this means is, what was the difference? How much did the seller retain of their list price at the time they accepted the offer? No other period of time, just at the time they accepted the offer that they're in escrow with right now. What was the difference between the list price and the sale price? And so 97.8 is historic over the last 5 years. That's been what the market has averaged. So when we look at these numbers at 97.11, we're seeing that the sellers are giving up about another 0.5%. So this is important because if you're working with a buyer or you're prepping your seller for a negotiation, you've got to anticipate whatever this market gap is between the list price and the sale price into the pricing structure, whether that's a buyer's pricing structure or a seller's pricing structure, depending upon what's most important: price, concessions, etc. So right now, the sellers have been giving up about 0.5% more to make their product go away, which is what we've seen. So those are the numbers this past week. We'll see you next Monday with the numbers for next week.
All right, sounds good. All right, Justin, what do you got, man?
All right, guys, look at those rates. Aren't they looking good?
Oh, man.
Yeah, you fabricated that. Come on.
Man, that's real. That's real stuff right there. Was in actually Fairway had a Housing Wire conference last week, and Housing Wire said that there are now more people north of 3% than there are in 3%. Yeah. So that's pretty crazy. I'd like to see the stats on that, but I feel like that's a big deal, and I feel like this is going to help push our market a little bit more. And as these rates go down a little bit, it's going to help us out.
For the life of me, I can't figure out why anybody would walk away from a house with a loan that has a 2 in front of it. But
I agree. Like, let's keep that thing. Right?
I know.
It looks like these are a little blown up here, but
just remember, interest is expense. Appreciation is pocket money. So,
of course,
so the reality is the market's getting prepared. It's already down. It's getting prepared to go back up. Might be a good move.
Sure. Yeah. So we're going to talk about condos today. We've had a lot of agents listing condos right now, and I feel like a lot of the listing agents that our buyers are going after, they're not quite prepared. They have these condos selected for any financing, and then we're coming in and we're finding out that they're not on the FHA or the VA approved list, and we're finding out why, and then we're finding out they can't go conventional, and so we're left with non-warrantable condo options. So we're going to talk about how to set up for success on condos. So look up if the FHA approves the condo, or look up if the VA condo list has it approved. We're going to give you a QR code here in a little bit, but look these up. Call your lender. Have them look it up in advance.
You need to have that information before you go to market.
100%. 100%. You don't want to waste time. You don't want to waste your seller's time.
And you can't go, and this was, like if I'm trying to figure out what an HOA payment is, I can, for the most part, I can go check out other listings in the area and get, this you can't. You got to go direct to the source, because you can't assume that all the other agents that have got listings in a condo complex have done their due diligence.
Correct.
As well.
Correct. Yeah. And as a listing agent, you might want to go to the HOA yourself. Ask for the budget. Ask for the insurance certificate. Ask for the reserve study, the litigation disclosures, the percentage of rentals. This will help you understand, and then communicate back to your lender what this looks like. And your lender can say, hey, if a buyer's coming in with 10% down, this is going to be a limited review for conventional. You can do this conventional 10% down. Maybe you can do this with a 3% down conventional, but maybe not. Maybe you have to go non-warrantable condo route. And so these are things. Prepare yourself. Prepare your notes in NML or in MLS to get a good buyer. Don't set expectations incorrectly, because you're going to waste time, and time is money on these things.
Yeah,
right?
I look at this as more as a buyer tool than a seller tool. Even though as a listing agent, you're responsible for making sure your seller understands these things, or at least bring it up so that they do their own research. But from a buyer's perspective, you could be showing somebody absolutely the wrong product, and if they fall in love with something that you can't show them in a community that they can qualify in, what a shame. That's just bad salesmanship.
It is.
Bad representation too.
So FHA also has a spot approval for a single unit. So talk to your lender about that. Maybe it's not approved through the FHA, but we have condo desks that we can go to our condo desk and say, hey, is this something where we can get an FHA spot approval? And the condo desk will break it down for us. Yes, this is something that we can get a spot approval. And the reason why we're talking about spot approvals is if you were to go to FHA and try to get an approval on a condo, well, we've seen them take as long as 90, 120 days. A spot approval is done directly through us. It's basically like a delegated underwriting, meaning that we get to handle the issuance of the approval for the association based on certain guidelines that are laid out by FHA. For VA, the project must be approved, but it can be submitted. However, this process can take quite some time. VA, you can see 90 days on an approval, but this is where you ask the lender again.
So this is another thing that you offer at Fairway that the average big box lender doesn't have readily available, which is that spot approval desk, that condo desk.
Yeah, I can't say that a big box lender couldn't do a spot
processing
approval
center in Chicago.
Oh my goodness!
Not local.
I mean, I'll tell you, I worked for a big box bank for 7 years. It's a mess just to communicate with some other department. But what documentation is commonly missing? You can ask us about that. Sometimes, like Fairway's big enough to where we've probably tried to do a loan in most of these condo associations, or we have. So we have a database that we can look up why isn't this one approved? Or maybe they were submitting for approval, or maybe they were under some sort of litigation that was supposed to end at some sort of time. So it's always good to reach out to us to, again, use our resources, right? So use these QR codes and save these websites to review if your project is approved. So this is just great information. If you need this, reach out to Nick, and he can send you over, or Mike, and they can send you over these QR codes so that you can have that website.
Yeah, and I would just say again, it's whether you're working with a buyer or seller, you need to do the due diligence, and you need to figure it out. This is the one. You shouldn't never solely rely on any information in the MLS. Maybe the assessor's number. That's it's automatically pulls in. You're pretty good there, but you just can't assume that an agent has the correct information. They're taking a listing, they're just checking off the box, they're just assuming it's VA approved, it's FHA approved, and before you write an offer, you got to get on the phone with you and figure it out.
I'll tell you, this is one of those areas in condos though where us as lenders, no matter where we work at, we kind of work together on. Sometimes agents, they'll really dig into due diligence, and they'll find that somebody's closed multiple homes or multiple condo units as conventional. And so we'll call the other lender, hey, what did you see here that I'm not seeing? And then we can find out, oh, the master insurance policy changed since you've done these, or there was a litigation that you had some sort of exception that your company's taken on, or maybe they're taking portfolio loans. But this is something that we can dig in together and figure it out. But with each other's resources, it'll help out.
I appreciate it, Justin.
Yeah.
Good stuff as always. All right, we're going to jump into our 3-pack. We're going to talk about creating legitimacy and credibility. We're all out there. We're all talking to potential buyers, sellers, and investors, and being found credible is imperative. People will work with those that they trust. Trust really becomes the main issue here. So the first one we've talked about several times over the years, but I thought this would be perfect, is storify your pitch. I love the concept. We all should be familiar with the concept social proof, and really what social proofing is if people know that you are working with other people and know that you have success stories, okay, that is social proof, and it puts them at ease. And in their mind, they go, well, you know what? Todd's had some success. Todd's helped some people. Todd must know what he's doing. He must be good at what he's doing. And then it begins to create that element of trust. And so always be taking inventory on your successes and use them appropriately. What I mean by that, I work with a lot of investors. We go out and buy multi-family units. Well, that's not going to be a story that I'm going to share to a first-time home buyer, right, or vice versa. I work with a lot of Air Force pilots, so my stories really revolve around helping other Air Force pilots. We have an agent on our team. He's a firefighter, and he does nothing but work with firefighters. But there's the other firefighters trust him, and in their minds, he must be legitimate and credible because other firefighters trust him. And if you don't have stories, and for those of you that are newer to real estate, you may not have as many closings as experienced agents do. So leverage stories of others. That's why team meetings are so important. That's why networking with your team or other agents in your office, because it's not so much of it's we. My team, we've done this. We helped so-and-so accomplish this. We helped so-and-so reach this real estate goal. So if you don't have a ton of stories of your own, leverage other stories, because we're one family here.
Yeah, I mean, understand the story so you have an opportunity to talk about it if somebody calls you and say, how did you help that person?
Yeah.
What was the obstacle that they were trying to overcome? I like the we, I hate the I. Perspectives, but be in your lane. The guardrail term is showing up everywhere now. You should have your own set of guardrails in your professional business. If you're advertising or marketing, it's kind of, what pool are you going after? So, Michael, you've said this for many years, which is, you have to know who your audience is before you begin the process, or who you're trying to attract. But, take a look. I mean, if you're going after niche markets are fine. And even if they're a very, very small percentage of the overall total market, that's still okay. You can have a lane in that business because it identifies you as being a very small percentage of the total real estate population. But at the same token, make sure the stories that you're talking about fit the narrative and the demographic of the market you're going after. If you miss that, like if you're going after baby boomers, that's one different market. They represent 51% of the entire purchase population. If you're going after older Gen Xs, which are part of that, actually, 51%. That means half of everybody that hears your story should be in that category.
Yeah, and that's a really good point, Nick, because, if I'm out and about golfing or wherever, and now all of a sudden I'm engaged in a real estate conversation with someone and I'm asking questions and I'm getting to know their demographic or their level of experience, then in my mind, I'm finding that right story. Every pitch that I do, every consultation that I do, or every initial meeting that I'm doing, I'm trying to bring some sort of story to the table.
Yeah, I mean, you're building connection and relationship, and you're trying to build trust within a 30-second conversation with someone that you just met, or maybe was a reference of someone else. You've got to find that alignment of the two of you, whether the demographic is the demographic, but you still want them to want you to help them with their home, if that made sense or not. And you're also doing this on social media. And so it's making sure that the modality of conveyance of your storified pitch needs to be specific to what you're using. If you're on social media and all you're doing is posting, help this person buy a home this weekend, people don't care about that. What do they care about? There was a joke online that was, what if real attorneys and doctors marketed themselves like realtors do? And it was like, hey, just saved this guy's heart transplant today, or hey, just got this guy off from a beat. Like, other industries don't do that. Now, I know it's not apples and apples, but think about how you're marketing yourself.
Funny, dude.
Yeah, it's a lot more apples and apples than people think.
Dude,
Sure.
my doctor's going to take a picture of me standing in
Yeah,
front of the
big
door
thumbs
with
up.
my old heart, because I just got a heart transplant.
Said yes to the kidneys? Come on, guys.
Yeah.
All right. I think this is an underutilized tool. Leveraging testimonials. You need to be really, when you have some successful closings, that's why I always say, try to collect the testimony 3 days prior to close of escrow, because that's when all the bad stuff happens. But our West USA websites through iFound Agent have a place for testimonials.
Yes.
You should be having, and I know we have on our YouTube page somewhere, training on creating a Google business page. I'm telling you, people are looking for you on Google as well, and have those testimonies, and use video testimonials, and if you can get your client in front of a camera, and then that's what you send out in your marketing materials. That's what people want to see, because it goes back to that social proof.
Yeah, there's not much more on this, but if you're listening to anybody that's talking about, TikTok or any of the, social media today, they're telling you need to have 30 reels, short reels, conversations with people. You need to front load it, and then you lay them out there, and that helps build the story, because the story is not what you say. The story is what your customers feel after they've used your service, and that's also the brand, and that's the most important thing.
Yeah, I mean, 100%. Video testimonials, any referral that you can get someone to put in writing or on video, it's the best marketing you can have. The only main thing I would say here is agents get wrapped up on having a Yelp page and a Google business page and a Zillow page and a website with there's too many places to have your referrals. Pick one, maybe two, and just lean into that. And that's what you market. If someone somehow finds a random Yelp page and you've got little reviews there, that's fine. They're going to Google you and they're going to see where everyone else is leaving their reviews. Pick one or two, focus on that. Stop trying to be everywhere. It's going to be a waste of your time.
It's a good point, because for us, we have them on our website, but we try to do the majority of our reviews on our Google business page. And so part of when we're talking with people, we'll send that link. Hey, check out our reviews, check out the testimonials here, and so forth. So that's a really good point. And then leverage your partnerships. Nick and I, we always talk about building your cabinet and make them a part of your presentation. which can include your lender, your title, your home warranty, your inspector. I'm always bringing them into the conversations because it puts people at ease that I have a team of people. Yeah, we're going to buy this house and you got to replace all the carpet. I'm going to leverage my partnership with my flooring guy or my painter. And then I consider a roofing partner because I have been doing this the last 12 months. I do not wait for my home inspector to say that the roof needs further evaluation. Yeah. We have a roofing company that'll go out and do free roof inspections. That has become, over the last 12 months, part of my inspection process. It just gets scheduled within that 10-day inspection period. And then we're going to visit with Cindy in a little bit, but have a great tax strategist. We're always talking about Cindy in our presentations and when we're talking with people, because again, it creates credibility, legitimacy. I'm not a lone wolf. I got a full team of people behind me.
Yeah, years ago when we were going through the mortgage-backed security crisis and coming out of it, actually, and there were a lot of short sales, I put this program together. It was called Arizona Partners in Housing, and it was really made up of a lot of these industry professionals that are in your divorce category, your 1031 category, your financial categories, to provide free information. Now, this is really important. You either get advice that you pay for, or you get free education information. They're two totally different things. So when somebody's coming and offering you basically free information, it's not advice. You shouldn't take that and go act on it unless you want to dig deeper in it. You should really, at that particular point, engage with that person, enter into an actual contractual relationship, and then get the true information specifically for you. But in this particular point, here's the thing. Yeah, roofing's great. Tax strategists are phenomenal. Estate planning people. You need to have in your category.
Real estate attorneys.
Real estate attorneys. And this is really, really an important thing. And a lot of times attorneys in these different categories of specialty will allow you to do that, but you've got to have a conversation with them.
Well, I have Nick Wiedekamp in my corner, and when I'm bringing in
not a broker, not a broker.
When I bring in Nick into the conversation, they're like, "Oh, if you know Nick, let's go with you, Mike."
It's funny how often my wife gets texts from neighbors and friends. I'm not in sales at all, but they know I work in real estate, so they just assume we know all the people. So it's a very powerful thing to be the person people reach out to for the referrals. Having good people in your corner are very important, and making sure they're good people is working with them, having conversations. Justin dropped knowledge today about taking a listing on a condo. I don't know how many agents have ever thought about reaching out to their lender partner before they take the listing to have the conversation. If you're not doing that, you're missing the boat. And if you don't have a lender that you trust or other people in your cabinet you trust to have that conversation before any business that you're doing, whether it makes them money or not, you need to look at who you're referring out.
We started this about validity, Mike, and the whole point is if you go outside your lane, then you're teaching that person that you're ignorant.
Well, I thought Nick, you were going to say that your wife kept getting texts from the neighbors of like, "Hey, can you come and grab your husband? He's been here way too long."
That hasn't happened in a while. I'm getting better.
All right. Well, I wanted to highlight this special event. If you've closed 5 transactions in the last 12 months, we want to invite you to this very exclusive event going on tomorrow. The focus for us has been helping our agents invest in real estate themselves. Yes, we're helping our clients invest in real estate. So we're doing a special class tomorrow where we're going to go through the ins and the outs of how, as real estate agents, we can be taking advantage of the different markets, how we can be taking advantage of short sales, how to find off-market properties, how to leverage hard money and seller finance options. And my favorite part of all of it, because we got so many stories of how we do it, but your real estate license is the most powerful investment tool that you have. And we're going to walk through how we leverage our real estate licenses to minimize our tax exposures and invest in real estate and so forth. So that's going to be going on tomorrow from 11 to 1 o'clock. There's a QR code there at the bottom, or my email's there. So get signed up. Just don't show up, but it's going to be a great event. My favorite tax strategist, my favorite accountant in the entire world. Cindy, you can probably have to pull this microphone down here. Welcome, and we have you in every year, and I appreciate you so much. And so let's just jump into it. And we don't get political. This has nothing to do with politics, but with every administration, there are changes and creates a lot of confusion, creates job security for you. What are some of the changes that we need to be aware of over the last year or so, if any?
Oh, what's exciting is the changes that were in effect in 2017 are now permanent. So with the One Big Beautiful Bill, made everything permanent. It made our accelerated depreciation, or you've heard 179. It's funny how people educate themselves and they're like, I want to take 179. It's like, well, how do you know what that is? Because I looked it up. But so we can take accelerated depreciation on different things, on rental properties, on your cost segregation. It breaks it down so we can take more now when you do the purchase. And so the beauty is they've been set in stone for now, meaning there was an expiration when they were created in 2017. We had an expiration of the end of 25. That went away. Now they're in stone. This is the tax code. We don't have expiration dates anymore. So now it's a better planning tool for me. You know, even last year before it was all in effect, it was like, well, as soon as we see what happens, then I can tell you, right?
Right.
That's not the case. I can tell you now what it looks like today. Doesn't mean it won't change down the road somewhere, but today we're good for 2025 tax year and the 26 planning.
All right. One of the things I always like to start off with, we are all fearful. I mean, it creates incredible angst when we hear the term IRS and the IRS tax code, and people hate the IRS tax code and they think it's our great enemy and so forth. And one of the things that you taught me years ago was you basically just said, you know, I'm thinking about it the wrong way, that the IRS tax code really is our best friend because it is the roadmap to taking advantage of write-offs and minimizing tax liabilities.
Absolutely. And Tom Wilwright, who's been my mentor for years, he talks about it and he says, partner, the IRS wants you to partner with them. We want you to know what the tax code is. The issue might come, you know, the question isn't, is this deductible? The question is, how do I make it deductible? So I had a couple sitting across from me and she was willing to do everything and he wasn't. And I said, okay, then the price of that is you might pay some taxes then where she's not going to, right? So it can all work for you if you're willing to do it.
Right.
Yes. And don't fear them, join them. Yeah.
All right, so I've got some notes here. I know you've got some notes there. At what point, one of the biggest questions that I get with working with real estate agents is, at what point do we create a PLC or a PLLC, and what are the advantages, and why do we want to incorporate our name?
So starting out, I would always get your PLLC as a real estate agent, because then that allows your tax preparer or whomever that might be to decide when to do that. If you've set it up, if I became a real estate agent in January 1 of 25 and I create my PLLC, that gives me as the preparer all of 25 to decide if I should move you over to an S Corp or leave you as a sole proprietor. The advantage of an S Corp is you save 16% on your taxes, just right off the bat. So I think we all should. And when is the benefit? The benefit's when my profit is $50,000. That makes it cost effective if I were doing your stuff to move it, right? I typically can save a brand new client about $15,000 on their taxes. So my fee is $6,500 or more. But if I can save you $15,000, wouldn't you want to pay the $15,000?
Right.
You know, the fee to save that?
It's a great buy.
Before I met you, my tax bills were between 30 and 40 every year, and it was just so painful. And then when we hired you, we started getting money back. or it just dropped considerably, and I kept thinking, okay, we're gonna get audited here or something like that. And then I just started doing my own research, and I'm like, my gosh, the stuff he's talking about is like really legit.
It's really real.
And it is far worth the investment that we make for our taxes because of the amount of money that you've probably have, since we've started working together, probably saved me over $120,000 to $150,000. And when I take a look at what I was paying prior to BC, before Cindy.
That's great. Well, okay. And it's not that your taxes were done wrong. They were not wrong. They were just not done in your best interest. There was no thought. And that's what happens. I get somebody in front of me and they're on a sole proprietor. And I just had one come across my desk and I think he paid like $350,000 in taxes. He's running a couple $1 million as a sole proprietor. I would never do that. And I'm even flabbergasted that somebody would do that.
Right.
And why would you pay those taxes and not get a second opinion, right? So back to real estate agents, always you want to be an S Corp. If you have a property, we're going to put that into a partnership and file as an LLC as a partnership. So that's where you can see a PLLC. I want you to file as a S Corp. If you have rental properties, I want you to file an LLC and file as a holding company in a partnership.
Right, which I've done. All right,
Yes.
let's talk about write-offs.
Yes.
Is there are my write-offs the same as a 1099? My check's written out to Michael Weinstein as opposed to it going through my PLLC. Do I still have the same write-offs, and are there more write-off advantages of running everything through the PLLC?
No, they're the same. So whether I run as a sole proprietor or a partnership or a PLLC, no, it's all the same, but it's how you look at it. For example, the things that my clients that come to me, it's their first time. It's the auto. It's keeping track of everything. The car washes. If you have that membership to the car wash place, it's the car insurance, because if you're a real estate agent, you're probably paying a commercial fee if you're going to have clients with you, right? Any repairs to that car. And then what happens? So we get this all the time. Well, I bought a new car in August. And I'm like, okay, but you had auto expense from January to August. Oh, well, I didn't think about that. I just thought the new car mattered. So they only kept track for the new car, right? Business use of the home. That's a big one I see people miss. The IRS changed the code back. We used to do square footage. What was the square footage and how big was my office? And now it's per room. So I do a percentage. So it's a percentage because of the rooms you have. And then they miss, what are the repairs in that home office? Okay, so I had to replace the air conditioner and then we had to redo one of the rooms. Well, we're not going to go take the whole air conditioner. We're going to take a percentage of that air conditioner because I work out of my home, right? That's a big one that we see all the time. And then the Augusta rule. So the IRS allows you to rent your home out for 14 days or less in a year and not pay any taxes. Well, so back when we had the Super Bowl here and everybody was renting their houses on the west side for $5,000 a night, they probably all claimed it on their taxes and they didn't need to, right? But I want every business to use the Augusta rule.
Okay, and then how does it benefit me? Like maybe every 2 weeks out of every year, I just have my mom come up and I charge her rent.
But that's not what we're going to do. We're going to have your business rent your house from you.
Okay.
So my accounting practice rents my home from me for 14 days. It's another way for me to take money out of the business tax-free. And it's easy to figure out those rents. When we had the Super Bowl here, I told everybody, you probably rented your house during the Super Bowl week, right?
Yes, the answer is always yes.
Yes. And then another deduction that we see people miss are paying your kids. The IRS allows you to pay your kids age 7 to 17 tax for a year. And I think this 2025, it was like $15,750. Well, so I had a gal, she has 7 kids, and she's like, okay, that's a lot of money out the door January, right? And so what we did is we earmarked 3 accounts for kids' activities, 2 accounts for the IRS, 2 accounts for her taxes. Because the 3 accounts were enough to pay for kids' activities and the things the kids were doing that were now going to be deductible.
What are some other things that we are not, as far as write-offs? Because like one of the questions that's always been kind of confusing, because there were changes years ago when I started. I had a shoebox full of receipts. And it was just, and we do a lot of meals. And we take a lot of clients out, either golfing or take them to happy hour or whatever the case is. And there was always this category of meals on there. I don't do that anymore because I've kind of reclassified it. If I'm taking a client out, to me, that's advertising and marketing because that's really what I'm doing. Is there an issue with meals, or how should we as agents handle meals with clients?
Okay, so let's talk about meals directly. So the IRS says that you don't have to have the receipt if it's under $75 and it's in your planner, who, what, when, where, and why. I live by my planner, so I'm not worried about the documentation there, right? Now, as far as moving it to advertising, there was a meeting I used to go to in Goodyear, and the place we would go at would have breakfast. And I would put my breakfast under my advertising because I'm never going to go there and have a meal. I only went there to get clients, right? So it's how can I justify it as a business expense? Yes. Now, if I have your numbers and I'm looking at it and I feel like, oh, it's too heavy based on what your income might be, then I might move some of it or switch some of it. I have a client, he eats out a lot, but the amount of meals that he had didn't support the income. Okay, I'm not going to put that on the tax return.
Are we talking about me? Because I go out and I have a lot of meals, Cindy. I don't know.
No, it's not you. But so when you look at when I do your taxes, I'm looking at it. How does this flow? Is it cohesive? Is this something the IRS would probably question? Yeah, if I have $40,000 of meals and your income's $100,000, yeah, we might have a problem.
Okay.
Yeah, and I'm going to bring it up. I'm going to say, hey, let's talk about this for a minute, and you tell me. And usually there's a different story. There's a different story about what happened and why it would end up in the meals category.
What are some things that we should be doing, throughout the year to prepare for our accountant, whomever it is? Because I had an accountant years, and Todd and I had the same accountant. There's a reason why he's not our accountant anymore, but that's neither here nor there. But it was like he just said, just throw everything in a shoebox. Yeah. And then I had back then we had this thing called the Franklin Planner.
Oh, that's right.
Right,
Yes.
and I would keep track of my miles and whatever the case is. And throughout the years, I've gotten busier. I find the more money I make, the less organized I am. Probably the harder I make your job. But what are some things? Because it's not too late. We're in February. But what are the things that we should be at the very least doing to be prepared to file taxes the following year?
Well, if you have a bookkeeper, that's great. They can send me the financials because I'm a
and that's what I've finally done is I've then hired the bookkeeper, and she asks me questions here or there, and then she does whatever she does, sends them to you.
And I know it was painful to start, but the beauty is I can go pull your numbers. I can go pull your profit and loss anytime and just make sure we're within what I'm saying, right? Keeping track of it's that documentation, keeping track, know your numbers, and talking to me. I met with a client yesterday and I said, okay, he's an ER doctor, and if his number stays status quo, I don't need to talk to him in May, but I definitely want to talk to him in November, December, right? I want to make sure he paid the kids. I want to make sure there were no bonuses. Did they buy a car? I want to look at everything. So keep track of where you're at and know your numbers so that then I can see them. So if I email you and say, hey, how are we doing? Can I see some numbers from you? If you're pretty much the same and your income hasn't gone up by like 25 grand, we're going to be the same. But if it's November and you go sell that $1 million house, I need to be talking to you. We need to be looking at what we can do to save that money.
So one of the things would you recommend and I do this, when it comes time for us to buy another car, sometimes there's a huge benefit or difference of buying it this calendar year as waiting to the January 2nd of the following calendar year. There's very little that we do without running by you.
Correct.
But is that a thing?
Yes, absolutely. That's a thing, especially because a vehicle is our best deduction. It's a chunk anymore, but that means, okay, so you can't go buy a Corolla for 19 grand and think we're going to save a bunch on taxes because we're not. It's when you go spend $50,000 on a vehicle that I can really do something with. Then if you buy the vehicle that weighs over 6,000 pounds, then I can really do something with that, right? So I want to know where your numbers are. Then if you're going to buy a vehicle, if it's just the Corolla that you're going to buy for $20,000, it doesn't matter.
Just go.
Yeah. Yep. Because then we're max on what we can take. We can take the $20,000 in that year. Yes.
And so and this is just more of a tip for other people. One of the things that I've done with you in the past, I have a SEP IRA and things. I'd rather take all my cash and invest it in real estate. I've experienced far better returns, but I've got the SEP IRA. And so when we get ready to file taxes, you tell me this is how much you're going to owe. But then there's an advantage of if I take a percentage, let's say I owe the IRS $10,000 and you say, hey, we can write off 6 of it if you take that 6,000 and put it into a retirement account.
Yes. And that's another point about communication and talking to me. And I say that to everybody. So if I get your taxes and it's not what we had looked at in November, December, then I'm going to say, okay, here you are. Either you can pay the tax bill or you can do this, this, or this. Put money into a 401k, IRA, whatever it might be, to get the tax bill down. And the beauty of your investments account, so with a SEP, it does need to be set up already, but you don't have to fund it until April of the following year for the back year, which is just crazy.
It's crazy, yeah.
And then if you file an extension, we don't have to even fund it till October, which just seems even crazier. But yes, those are the rules. Yeah.
All right, so I don't want to throw my wife underneath the bus because this isn't really her.
Probably not.
No, because every year she gets mad at me. I'm the king of extensions. Like I think I have filed for an extension every year that I've been in real estate, and my wife, it drives her nuts because my wife is so organized and she is ready to go, and we end up filing for extensions. What are the disadvantages to filing for extensions? And then I want to get into quarterly payments.
Okay, so the disadvantages is we're putting off. I'm still working on 25, and we can't look at your 26. I want to get your 25 out of here, and let's start talking about 26, especially if it's a bigger year, or you have a bonus coming, or you have more homes listed than you've had before. So I want to know where we're at. The disadvantage is I can't focus on your 26 if we're still talking 25 typically.
Okay. All right.
You're not there yet. You're not ready to.
So the moment that I have a PLLC and I start running commissions through my PLLC, do I need to be worried about quarterly payments? We always hear about quarterly payments. I don't think I've ever made a quarterly payment, so I'm sure I pay the piper for it down the road.
No. So what we've done with, if we can talk about your taxes or any of my other clients.
Yeah, let's talk about that.
We're going to make sure, because I don't want to have to remember that day either. So I adjust my payroll so that I don't have to make an estimated payment. I've made sure I've added you to payroll, having equivalent or sometimes more. If we know it's going to be a better year, we've adjusted your withholdings. So Austin and I are really good about making sure, okay, we're going to
Austin's in the house.
Yeah.
Hi,
Yes.
Austin. Good to see you, man.
Yes. So we are looking at your numbers always. Do we need to adjust that? Because people don't want to make quarterly payments, and I don't know why. They just don't.
All right. So back to, obviously we've been talking about a lot about agents and taking advantage, and everybody has Cindy's email up there and her phone number up there if you want to reach out to her and have a consultation with her. But more, outside of us, and I'm just going to be candid. There's agents who were just beginning in our process, and we're still trying to build our business, and hiring you is probably overkill. But that doesn't mean that you aren't perfect fit for our clients, because it's one of the things. When I talk to my clients, I ask them two things. One, do you have a will and trust? Who are you using for your estate attorney? And I'm amazed on how many people don't have that. And then two, I talk to them about their accountant and their tax strategies. And they're like, I got so-and-so. I've just been using them for years. or I've been just doing it myself. At what point do you become that resource for us for the win of saying, hey, you're at this point in your lives, you're at this point with your businesses or your investment properties, you really need to have a sit-down conversation with Cindy's team?
They should do that anyway, no matter where they're at in the process of their life or investment properties. Because what happens is they put a judgment on my fee. What they don't know is what they don't know. You don't know what you don't know. So you've got to be talking to me to find out what you don't know. So at least have a conversation. Then if you decide to not stick with me, I've still educated you. That's what you need. You need education because you don't know what you don't know what you don't know. So the real estate agent, if they're single and they're just starting out and they're young and they're not married, chances are they may not need me, but I could still do a basic conversation to get them at least start to looking at things like, how can I make more things tax deductible, right? If you're married and one of you are starting out as a real estate agent, if I can teach you everything I want to teach you and you've not done great, that loss is going to offset the spouse's W-2 income. That's the great thing, and that's what people don't realize. As an investor, let's say I've got a rental property, but I've got a W-2 of 100, 150,000. If I can teach you how to run that rental property as a business, I'm going to teach you how to run it as a business. So now think of the things you're already paying money for. You already pay money for cell phone, internet, auto. If I can teach you how to legally maximize that deduction, now we've just offset that.
Well, and also what is going to happen, a lot of people don't understand it, is the common belief is, hey, we have a rental property, let's throw it into an LLC. But we're not conscious of how money flow is going back and forth. And then, God forbid, something horrific should happen on that property. A kid drowns in the pool, and you think that you're protected because you've got this shield called an LLC over the property, but you haven't handled funds properly. And that LLC can, at the end of the day, become worthless if you ever go to court.
Yes. So I'm not an attorney, but for tax purposes, what I do is I would have you start an LLC as a holding company. Okay. Then the owner of this LLC that holds my property is my holding company. Okay. And it's not simple. It's a little complicated, but once you get it, it just stays the same. And then every time you buy a property, it stays the same. So you're the manager of your LLC that holds the property. The member is your holding company. That gives you two layers. But I had to hire an asset attorney so he could get my estate all squared away. And I thought I knew it all, and I didn't. Yeah. It takes a lot. That's just the basic, because that's how I'm going to do your tax return.
Well, and that's the benefit for us is we've got a great estate attorney, and we'll have conversations. But I'm always having them have conversations with our estate attorney and you at the same time. And sometimes you and Jason go a little bit back and forth. And going back to the 3-pack, that's where we sometimes create all of our legitimacy and credibility, because we're talking at a different level.
And you just heard Cindy say exactly what we were talking about at the end of that presentation, which she says, "Oh, well, I'm not an estate attorney, so that's a whole nother aspect. There's probably 4 or 5 different intelligent people that you need to have in your world if you're structuring your business along that line. Yes. Because it's tax planning, it's estate planning, it's there's just so many individual.
And it's pieces. My rec tech smoker. So I got Nick. He's on that top 5 for how many texts you get from me. I'm about to smoke, and it's the same thing.
Sorry, I was coughing. I've had a few people actually confer me as their meat consigliere. So as much as you want to reach out, please do. I'm like Cindy, but not for taxes.
All right, we got a couple minutes left. What are we missing, or anything else you want to highlight?
No, just keep track. Find a way to keep track. And if you're bad at keeping track, if you don't have a shoebox, at least get it in a folder. The beauty of credit cards and different things now is it'll say QT gas or Safeway gas or Fry's gas, right? So gas receipts you don't have to save if it's specific, right? But everything else you need to save and keep track of. Documentation.
And they should talk to you because there's ways in which they could calculate an anticipated annual with only having maybe to track a shorter period of time. There's so many different things that you might recommend
yes.
along. Well, and again, I'm not saying that is, hey, don't do this, do that, but that's just a simple benefit of having a conversation with you and getting put in line with where down the road you're already there. Everything they've done is now prepared for you to enter when they get to that point.
Yes.
And I think that's really the most important part is have the conversation today.
Yes.
And then come to the realization today, maybe you don't need Cindy today, or she will come to that decision, but she'll show you how to plan everything moving forward so that at that time you're ready to go.
Yeah, exactly.
Well, and if I get your tax return and I look at your back years and your guy or gal is paying the kids in the Augusta rule and it looks like we're maximizing everything, I'll be really honest. I'll be like, hey, they're doing a great job. You don't need to move. Like, stick with them. They're doing a good job. Like, I'm not going to go take it from somebody else if they're going to do the exact same thing.
All right, Cindy, we appreciate your time. Incredible stuff. We have Cindy's information up there, her email and her phone number. Out to her, whether you want to talk about your own personal taxes or you want to get to know her, and you think you might have a client or two that would benefit from meeting with Cindy. So appreciate it as always, and
Thank you,
leave
Cindy.
everybody with the
Appreciate
quote of the day: "Hustle in silence and let your success make the noise." Appreciate everybody joining us. Go out and sell a home.